It's so interesting to me once you get into like energetic contributions and you start to see how you are evaluating yourself based on different experiences that you have, right? So, like, when somebody is really nice to you and you're really nice back and it's just easy, right? That's great. But, like, unfortunately, the universe doesn't really always see that as like the greatest learning experience. So every now and then you'll be really nice and somebody will not be very nice. And then you're at a fork in the road, right? And you're like, okay, well, either I can still be really nice to this person and like very likely still get walked on and treated more poorly, because the likelihood that that person is then going to decide to then treat you nicely after being bad to you isn't very high, right? Or we just work with those probabilities. And then there's the other side where you say, hey, they're being really nasty to me, like I'm going to decide to be nasty back. And there's a really big divide in the spiritual community as to what is like right when it comes to these kinds of experiences. And I don't have an absolute answer for that. I feel like every situation is different. So obviously you can judge that how you feel. And then there's all kinds of other things that come into play where it's like, okay, well, how do I feel? And how is this person acting? Like, are they doing it just for fun? Are they doing it just to piss me off? Are they doing it because they don't like me? Like, whatever. And then there's this argument of like, yeah, but you're supposed to be all love and light. Like, why would you give out anything that you don't want to ultimately be like your vibration? And my answer to that is that it is sometimes the way that other people learn their lessons. And I don't necessarily feel like I'm responsible for teaching other people, but there's a part of me that feels so driven by justice that I feel like if there is an aspect of me needing to pull back how nice I am or how much effort I want to put into a situation naturally because the other person is not appreciating or ultimately insulting me, to not change the way that I am putting my energy into this situation feels like it is disrespecting me on my own, right? So by saying that I would not change how I'm being when somebody's being nasty to me, and not necessarily saying that I need to turn nasty back, but there does need to be a limit. And I feel like that's where a lot of people get taken advantage of, because you get these blanket statements of like, no matter how mean somebody's being to you, like on some turn the other cheek shit, but it's really giving you more motivation to be like stepped on and basically abused in a lot of different ways, because you're recognizing that somebody's not treating you well, but because you don't want to be seen as like a bad person by putting a stop to it or putting your foot down, you're afraid to react, retaliate, respond in some way that is anything other than love and light. And I channeled that, baby, love and light is short for light your ass up. If you think that you're gonna come into my loving space and insult me, criticize me, gaslight me, manipulate me, and then I'm supposed to like still be sweet and cute, one more. No fucking shot. And if you need somebody to be your, I don't know, good but badass influence big sister in the spiritual realm, like, allow me, please, because reason there is no reason why you should be able to feel like somebody is able to treat you however they please in a fact that you have already established is not a way that you like, and that you owe them the best of you. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Okay? You do not owe anybody the best of you. Okay? That is a privilege. And that is not necessarily conditional on other people's behavior, but it's a factor. Okay? So let's get really honest. When people are not being nice to you, what's your first reaction? There's no wrong answer. It's just what is your answer. Okay? And sometimes old wounds come up, like maybe I did something wrong. Maybe I triggered something. Maybe I said something, okay? And considering it is always a good idea. It's always a good idea, okay? But additionally, I want you to realize that even if you do say something unintentionally or do something unintentionally and somebody doesn't say anything to address that, them treating you poorly is not a legitimate answer. It's just not, okay? So even if that person is upset about something that you did or said, treating you badly is not a legitimate response to that, okay? So, and the same thing for you, right? So if this person is treating you in a way that you're not happy with, being comfortable with that good old open throat chakra and finding ways to address things in the moment as it happens, right? Because I feel like as we bring things up later on, then it becomes this like responsibility of yours. Like, why did you hold on to that? When in some ways there's validity to that, but honestly, you're obviously allowed to like think on it and reflect on things and be like, hey, I mean, I kind of just thought about it and I didn't like the way that you said this. And you're valid to bring that up whenever the frame is. But the closer to the time, the better, okay? The sooner, the better. But when you have somebody who's treating you in a way that you don't like, and you are really focused on 100% aligning with your manifestations, right? You don't even want to be dealing with this. But, and this may not be the right answer. I'm just saying what I do, because there's a part of me that does at times still hesitate to go into fight mode. And that's because I don't like it, first of all. And second of all, I used to be really angry. I used to be really, really angry all the time. So when I would get angry, I would say all kinds of hurtful things, knowing that that was what I was doing, right? We thought that fighting was to create damage. That's disordered thinking. That's not right, right? So I knew that there was a part of me that was mimicking this from obviously the people who taught me how to do this, and then the way that I want to present myself now, right? Because I can understand that I learned that in my childhood. That's one. But two, am I going to keep doing it? Or am I going to understand that I did not like when that was done to me, so what am I going to do differently so that I'm not becoming that person? And that's tough, okay? It's not an easy thing to do, and it's also hard to try and come up with other behavioral patterns that you've literally never seen before, okay? For me to come up with some healthy communication style when I have literally never seen it before, okay? So how do you do that? How do you do that? And this is the reality for so many of us that actually are trying to heal what we've been through. But your brain is literally programmed now to think that that's what's normal. And not only normal, that that's what you're supposed to do. That you're supposed to get really angry at people, that you're supposed to say the most hurtful thing, that you are fighting to win. And even saying that out loud is so fucking crazy, because it's like, when would you even be able to learn something like that from somebody else? And when you're in that state of mind, you're always trying to shoot the messenger anyway. It's got to come from within you. And even when it does come from within you, you're like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. I don't know how to act. And then I think that I'm the problem. So going back to getting into situations where you didn't instigate it, okay? You're not trying to fight. And this person thinks that because you're being nice, now you're in your healed version, okay? And I'm gonna say healed because we're speaking in the past tense. But obviously we're always still working on things, and the more things you work on, the more there is to work on. And you are trying here to get the people that don't treat you well to understand that that's not a good idea, okay? And now in my life, I feel like I have gotten to a point where my peace is pretty consistent. I feel that I wake up feeling really good, I go to sleep feeling really good, and I'm generally taking really good care of myself. Not generally, like insistently taking really good care of myself. And this has been the dedication of my life, okay? This has been 10 years in the making. This has been my whole life in the making, let's be real. But just 10 years, like, actively in this process of addressing my health and really learning absolutely anything I can to facilitate that for myself. So finding myself surrounded by people who, one, not a likely probability that they have dedicated the kind of time or intensity that I have to healing my body and my mind. And that's because who would have that? That is a major privilege, to heal yourself and to be able to dedicate that kind of time. But it was more intense, and I feel like there's like this like, oh, thank you so much when it comes to people who like meet this version of me and see this version of me and have like no idea who I've been. And that's a wonderful thing, but it's also sometimes mistreated, right? So I don't want to say that I feel like the old me comes out, but I do feel like there is different versions of me that come out when I'm treated differently, right? Like, there's the version of me that gets to be at peace and calm and in control when I'm by myself. And yeah, there's little to no triggers, but don't worry, babe. For years, I was triggered by myself for a really, really, really long time, every day. And now, to be around other people and feeling like they test the waters because they see this version of you and they think you were always like this. And it's a compliment, but it's also a bit of an insult because it's like, okay, you are getting this healed version of me, and for some reason, you're not treating her with respect. You're actually trying to bring out the bear in me, whether it's provoking my drinking, whether it is trying to get me to tell you stories of my past, whether it's just trying to insult me or tease me in a way that you want to see if I get mad or not. And in so many of these instances, it becomes hard to separate from the person and like the universe itself testing you or evaluating where you are in your journey. And part of me feels like that is me feeling karmic to step into another person and say, hey, you know, I know that there are people in this world that bite other people because they don't think anybody's gonna bite back. And I'm full of surprises. So I love to be that karmic saving grace that says, hey, you're not going to embarrass me and you're not going to talk to me like that. And I don't care where we are. I'm going to call you out on it in a way that embarrasses you. And the only reason why that becomes my intention is because somebody else was trying to do that to me. And as far as becoming a mirror for other people, because part of me doesn't associate that as me being on bad behavior. I feel like you get what you give. And if you're going to give me some craziness where you're trying to test the waters, then I'm going to show you how rough the waters are. And it is because I don't treat people like that. And if that's your initial reaction to treating me a certain way because I am being nice to you, then you're going to know that that's not a good idea. And I won't hesitate. And the thing is that in the past, I would hesitate. And I feel like there's this guilt that comes up because I was abandoning myself to think that by being nicer to somebody who was not being nice to me, that they were going to realize that they were like missing out or something. And I was like, no, the only reason that they're going to realize that they're missing out on you is when you take access to that away and say, you don't get to hug me, kiss me, act like we're friends, and not treat me well, not treat me like a friend. I'll act like I don't know you. And then it'll be that version of me that I don't really want to be. And that part is hard to, I guess it's just hard to evaluate those things because it is with intention that I am changing the way that I speak and act towards everyone. Everyone. I am no longer glossing over conversations that make me uncomfortable. I am no longer glossing over comments or videos or teasing or any of these things that I used to let slide in the past because I still wanted to be on good terms with people that weren't treating me well. Why would I want to be on good terms with that person? They're the one that made it bad terms. They're the one that decided that they were going to talk to me like shit. Or they're the ones that decided that they had to tease me, or that they couldn't be supportive, or that they were so much more inclined to judge me than to say that they like something that I do. And why was I trying to make excuses for that? So I'm saying this because I feel like this is a common thread, specifically with women, definitely women of color, and I think it can apply to anybody, honestly. So I feel like I'm being called to address this more as an open vulnerability because I feel like it has a lot of shame around it, especially being somebody who used to drink a lot, knowing that I was like desperate to keep all of these friends around me, friends that I didn't even really fucking like, people that I didn't really find funny, people that were not nice, people that I couldn't depend on, people that were not reliable, people that were not supportive. Like, why would I be conditioned around these things? So having this kind of realization, and I mean, opening the floor so that this is a place that I can talk to other people about this, knowing that we're conditioned to do these things. We are literally programmed by every TV show to stay loyal to a shitty friend, or to stand by a cheating partner, or to stay at a really garbage job because you think it's gonna pay off in the end. Like, if I had a fucking dollar for every time I was told that, or I knew someone else who was told that, I'd have no more jobs. Like, it is because I am willing to create a space where this is something that we can talk about, because it doesn't have to be taboo, and it doesn't have to be like the embarrassment of your life to be like, yeah, I had friends that were garbage. I had people that were not nice to me, and I still gave them the star treatment. I don't know what to say. It's what happened. But I have learned from those things, and that doesn't happen anymore. You know? So being able to step away from that and live in this present moment, to be proud of this, to say, like, this doesn't happen to me today, and my quality of life is so much better because of it. That's a really big deal. Okay? And I know there's only so much of today, there's like so much of yesterday, but like that's why you also have to be here, so you can like really clock in those good moments. Okay, this has been the rant of a lifetime, and I love doing it, so I love you, and let's talk again soon, okay?